Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Melina's here again. Alright. So obviously it's still fresh what happened to my dad. It's a really difficult time for me, and I think I think what I really would have wanted for him was to be famous while he was alive, obviously. He does have YouTube videos. I'm pretty sure they're gonna go viral eventually. Uh, as soon as I'm famous, I'm sure I'll be mentioning them and they'll go viral. So it was just a really tough thing for me to deal with. Obviously, I'm still dealing with it. And you know, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how your parents are, but when your parents are as great as mine, and I'm sure you have, some of you have, lots of you probably have great parents. All of you do, obviously. Um, so when your parents are great, you really want, them to have lived the best life possible. And I mean, my dad could have lived a better life. Not his health was great for the most part, in most almost all of it. His longevity was good. He had a career for his entire life, but he didn't get paid anything. People didn't pay him for his work. So it was really upsetting for me to see that. He was a construction worker till 84 and he died at 84. And he was a musician till 84 and nobody ever paid him. And I was like, I had been really upset by that. I was always really upset by that and thought, and I really wanted to be famous so that I could pay for him and do things for him and then get him famous and then he'd be doing well and then he'd be so happy. That's what my goal was. I was really hoping to be famous um, while he was still alive. Um, Unfortunately, I won't have that chance. And so for me, being his main, like, I'm not, we had 5 kids. He had a lot of kids, but I'm the son that looked exactly like him. I'm the son that ended up performing. I mean, there might be other siblings of mine that will, or other people in my family that will, but I was the one that took upon myself to be the performer and do the things that I'm doing now. And having the channel that I have and doing the things that I'm doing. And so I think he really would have been proud, He had never mentioned my channel. I don't know what he thought of it. Like, he was kind of the type of person that was like, even though he had kids and everything, he was very much like he was a performer, right? Like, it's almost like Madonna, right? Like Madonna, I'm sure Madonna does talk about her kids performing, but she's an entity in herself, right? So the focus is on her, and if her kids did something, I'm not sure how they would respond to that, but with my dad, he was always like, I was always there for him. I was always talking about his performing. I was always focused on his performing, and I don't know. I don't even know what he thought of Melina because he never mentioned Melina. He was not like for him, he probably would have known I was doing it for entertainment purposes only, but for him, he wasn't concerned about that. Like, he's not a judgmental person. So for him, he wouldn't be like, oh my God, you're dressing up as a woman, how dare you? He would have been proud of me. Like, I only do Melina videos because it looks good, and I think I want another. I don't want to be typecast as Marco and doing one thing. And I think I'm really good at Melina. And I mean, for me, it's not a big deal. Like, I don't feel connected to transgenderism, and I don't think if I was that it would be a big deal. So for me, it's not a concern. So when with my dad, I felt the same way. I didn't think he'd be too concerned by it. But I mean, my dad was pretty easygoing. I'm sure he knew people that dressed up in drag. He had known a lot of people that had gone through divorce. He had known a lot of people that were gay. He had known a lot of people that were lesbian. So I mean, he wasn't like he's definitely not a homophobe or transphobic or anything like that. He never would have been. He was all about being friendly all the time, and he was such a humble guy. Well, not a humble guy. He was bragging all the time, but he was very I mean, like, he was just a caring person. He was just like my mom. My mom was never like judgmental. She would never be mean. She was never, harsh with people's lives or judging them. She was always a supportive person. Like my parents were both really nice. It's kind of rare to see, and especially in Hollywood, like to see really nice people. And I'm really nice. Like I'm really, really nice. Like for me, if someone's being nice to me, I'm like really happy. Like I love it. Um, so like I mean, I'm not gonna judge them and say, oh, you're not this quality or you're not this. If you're being nice to me, you're being nice to me. Of course, I'm busy, so I'm not able to talk to everyone all the time. But I mean, for the most part, I'm gracious. I'm humble about it. I'm happy about it. And yes, I do recognize I have great talents and things like that. But I mean, for the most part, you're not gonna see me be like, oh, I can't be happy about that person being, you know, being. I'm just a nice person, right? Like for me, to be mean is I don't like being mean. Like I don't like it. For me, I hate it. Like I can't stand it. I mean, I might be like I'm gorgeous, I'm this, I'm that, but all in all, I'm very nice to people. I really do like people being, uh, being supportive and friendly and no drama, no racism and no homophobia and no transphobia. And I was watching Obama talk about what a real man is, and he was like, they have compassion, they're kind, they're polite, they're gentle, they're strong. I'm not sure, he didn't say those words exactly, but I mean, Obama was the epitome of kindness, right? Like, and he was successful, he was a president, and he was like the kindest person ever. Like, you would not see someone like that in Hollywood. Well, I mean, there are people like that in Hollywood. Dolly Parton's the same way. There's enough people like that in Hollywood, but it's not really an ideal. Like it is ideal, obviously, but like it's kind of like a feature that people don't really show necessarily or are talking about. But now it's getting more in the forefront. I mean, with my channel talking about it and Dolly Parton being out there now. Dolly Parton seems like the sweetest person ever. I mean, I can't imagine her being mean ever. So she seems very sweet. So like it just seems like it's getting quite popular to be kind, but like my parents were the kindest people. Like they were so sweet. Like it was so nice. Mom was so nice, and her friends. I'm sure her friends really miss her. I never really talked to her friends about it. I was I was very much like my dad. I looked a lot like my dad. I had I had been kind of the popular one in certain things and doing certain things. So, and my dad was very popular. So it was kind of like, even though my mom passed, I was younger. I didn't really, I was 26, but I didn't really connect. It wasn't as difficult. I mean, obviously it was. My mom was very important and she was adorable and she was great and she was really a really important part of my life. And she taught me to be nice too, really nice. But it only hit home until my dad died because both parents dead had been really hard for me. Um, but yeah, so I mean, my parents taught me great things. I will use those things moving forward. I had always been someone that was really kind of, I mean, a lot of people look up to me. A lot of people have kind of like this whole, this whole thing about me being, I'm the son of my dad, and my dad, sorry guys, and my dad is, my dad was like, you're the one that is. My parents both thought of me as the one that was gonna lead the pack, and for some reason, I don't think they thought I was gonna be successful, but they were I was the one that was the important one in the family. Not that the other siblings weren't, but I looked like my dad, and my mom was all about my dad because she married him, and then my dad was all about my dad because he was an entertainer. I mean, the rest of my siblings are amazing, obviously, and they could be performers too. But it just seemed like I was, the one that they were focused on. And so to leave that legacy, to continue that legacy, um, is what I want to do. My dad would have wanted me to perform. And I mean, and when I have kids, I want my kids to perform, and when I pass, I want my kids to perform, and you know, do the things that I love doing right now. And so, it's kind of like, well, um, what do you kind of just get the sense that you were destined for great things when your parents had been really focused on you being. My mom was overprotective of me, very much so, and I'm very glad she was. Mothers like that, like, I mean, my mom was amazing. I really value my mom. My mom was so nice. Everybody loved her. She was such a sweetheart. And I don't even know who knows of her and who knows of my dad. 'Cause I mean, I do talk to people that know my dad and mom, but they're a different generation. Like my dad was in his 80s, I'm in my 40s. I'm in my early 40s, I'm 41. So, it's kind of like, well, when you have a difference in age that much with your parents, you are very much. And my mom was older, but not that much older, but she was way older than I was. So when you have that difference in age with your parents, and the language barrier. I mean, if my parents had spoken English, it probably would have been different. But the language barrier, and I don't speak Italian, so I mean, it's just like a whole other. My dad played the accordion, which everybody loves, but I'm kind of like, well, that's not my type of music. But I mean, I love my dad's playing it, but I mean, it wasn't my type of music. It wasn't, they were from a whole other, like, my mom would watch Lawrence Welk all the time, like that was something that I didn't watch. So, and my dad played the accordion, my mom watched soap operas, and, it was kind of like, well, my mom didn't speak very much English. At least my dad spoke more English, but I still didn't understand my dad a lot of times. So, I mean, it was kind of like, well, they had really come to Canada to make our lives better, and we really are living a better life. All of the kids are doing much better than they were, so I'm really happy about that. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. My dad would have wanted me to perform lots and do lots for you guys, so that's what I'm here for. Thank you all. Bye. Subscribe.